It's the last episode of the season.
Last episode of the season.
Yeah,
Wow.
episode 26. Aren't you excited?
I
We
am.
got a lot prepared for today. It's going to be great.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you kick us off nice and strong and
Let's talk about fingernails.
okay.
So, remember, I touched on this last time. I said, no, we're not going to talk about this now. And this was the previous episode. I forget what the point of the thing was. I forget what we were talking about. But the point is, I'm not a big fan of long fingernails. I don't know how you feel about them. That's a good question to talk about. But I personally hate long fingernails. When I have long fingernails, I don't care about other people necessarily unless they're trying to scratch me. But it bothers me because when you have long fingernails, first of all, you might break them or like you'll do something that makes them so that they're not sturdy anymore. And, they'll have like a little flake, not a flake, but like part of it will bend and it'll be uneven. And ugh.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like, you get a lot of dirt under them when they're long. And it's hard to clean out the dirt unless you're actively in there.
It's true.
So man, I really dislike long fingernails. How do you feel about them?
Yeah, they're not on me they're not great. I agree. I don't get people who have the long fingernails. Like the overly long fingernails. Like I don't mind if they're a little bit long.
Like a foot long? You don't like a foot long fingernails?
Some women you see on social media or on TV or whatever have crazy fingernails.
But how long do you mean? So, because I'm thinking comically long, but I'm saying
No. Just if a woman has slightly long fingernails, that's
like an inch,
not even an inch, just like a little bit over their,
centimeter.
finger or whatever, like not centimeter. I don't know whatever is I'm not gonna tell you a length because I don't know a length, but whatever is
Well, I'm
standard.
looking. I'm looking at my fingernails right now, and I'm thinking like it's probably a half a centimeter extra that you can see sometimes on women or just people who
Half a
like long
centimeter is
fingernails.
very very small. Like that's very small.
Well, a centimeter then.
I don't know. Whatever. I'm not gonna give a length because I don't know, but there is a reasonable length that is traditionally accepted, and I'm fine with that. That's on women. On men, yeah, because the women they get a manicure, right, and they get them
Well, men
all
can have a
all nice
manicure
and that.
too. It's in the
Well, yeah,
name,
yeah, yeah. But if
manicure.
whatever, if you just get them, if you just let them grow and whatever, and they're nasty,
Yeah,
and
yeah. But women, that's the thing. If a woman does the same thing, it's also nasty. That's what bothers me because and see that's the thing. Some women, I don't know how common it is, but it seems like that's a you see this in media often where they'll have fake fingernails. They'll basically like glue them onto their regular ones
yeah.
and then they can just take them off whenever they want, which I guess is fine. I just don't see I don't know. I guess are some people is it appealing for them when somebody else has long fingernails? Because for me, it doesn't make any sense. But hey, what do I know?
Yeah, like I said, if a woman has, slightly long fingernails, I'm fine with that. But I just I don't get the really, like some of them just have really long ones, and those are never real. Those are all snap-ons or whatever.
Unless they're going for the Guinness World Book.
That's right. Yeah, but some of them have really long ones, and I don't get it. And then you see them like, with doing regular stuff, and I'm just like, I don't understand. Like,
My question, this is because this podcast is supposed to be wholesome and family friendly. But my question is, how does someone with really long fingernails wipe their ass after they go to the bathroom? I want to know.
I've heard a lot of comments that say like, with really long fingernails, you can't do it adequately.
So your ass starts to smell?
That might be something you have to
Ask someone else to do it.
yeah, that might be something you have to look at if you're, with a girl or something that has really long fingernails. Like maybe their personal hygiene is not great.
And whenever I think of people with really long fingernails, I think of the bad guy from One Piece at the very beginning of the show, the one with the claws, Kuro. That's what I think of. He would have to lift his glasses by using his the bottom of his palm because otherwise he'd scratch himself.
I just don't get how, if you have like 4-inch nails or 3-inch nails or whatever, how you do.
Nine
Like I've
inch
seen them
nails.
like
That's a band, right? Yeah.
no.
Well, it is a band.
Yeah, I get that. Let's finish a thought before we move on to a new one. Like I just don't get like I see them like using their phone with the long nails and I just don't I try to work out in my head how that's like even really possible, but you're right. It's like you have to use the bottom part of your finger to do it because anything else and your nails just slamming into the phone.
They're stabbing the phone every time. That's why they need that Gorilla Glass. Otherwise, you'd have these people with long fingernails just scratching their phone constantly.
I don't, or like if you have to hold like if you have really long fingernails, you have to hold a pen, or I guess more practically like a fork or something. Like I don't.
But you
I
can
don't
use
see,
the
I don't
fingernails.
see how you could write.
You can use the fingernails
There
as
you
a
go,
fork
yeah.
and as a quill.
Yeah,
That's what people
That's
used
true.
to do. You dip the fingernail in ink and then you write.
That's true.
I think they got it covered. Maybe that's why some of their fingernails are black.
I don't get long fingernails. I don't get any of that exaggerated cosmetic stuff.
Like lip fillers.
I don't get lip fillers. I'll never
Like
understand
Jinx.
why any.
This is why you don't like Jinx, I think, because of her tendency to use lip fillers.
She's the original one. Yeah.
She's inspired a whole legion of women, I think. I think Jinx is the reason.
But I don't understand any, but like even a little bit of lip filler, like you see, scrolling through TikTok or something, sometimes you'll see like, oh, I got a little bit of lip filler. You can barely tell. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. Even if you get a little bit of lip filler, you can absolutely tell that somebody's gotten lip filler. Just don't get cosmetic. I just don't, listen, I'm the type of person who, I feel like I think I got this from my grandfather, because I remember him, telling me this way back when. But just age. Like a lot of people, they do it to, I guess, look more beautiful or whatever. A lot of people do it because they feel it makes them look younger. And it's just like, just age. That's it. Be yourself, just age. Like none of it looks good. Like the ass implants, those look ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a cushion for you to sit on, though.
Yeah, well, fine. If that's how you use it, good for you. I doubt anybody who's getting that is using it that way.
Wow, look at the King of the Hill episode where Hank gets them. He doesn't get fillers; he gets external ones, but still, it's beneficial.
That's right. Another King of the Hill guy got killed this week, or died this week.
Oh, jeez.
The John Redcorn guy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Joss, I can't remember his name. Something Joss. Jonathan Joss, I think was the name. He actually got murdered.
Oh, wow.
It was a hate crime because he was gay.
Uh-huh.
So the guy burned down his house, killed his dog.
Wow.
And then I guess when he was like inspecting the remains, the guy shot him. It was, I don't even understand how the whole thing played out, but I guess that was the series of events. So very unfortunate hate crime.
Yeah, very tragic.
Yeah.
Well, back to fingernails.
Yeah, back to fingernails. Or beauty cosmetic routines. Yeah,
Well, I'll say that I think if somebody gets plastic surgery, if it's for health reasons, which does happen, right? If there's some sort of injury that happens, or it's affecting something negatively, like the person can't breathe properly, so they need the nose job, which does happen again.
Yes.
Plastic surgery isn't all evil. It's just when it's Hollywoodized.
Well, I mean, I even said it right before. I said cosmetic surgery, not necessarily plastic surgery.
Ah, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Because you're right. Obviously, there are certain things that you can get that maybe mimic or are in line with cosmetic surgery that is for health reasons. But I'm talking purely cosmetic surgery. I don't think I've ever seen an example of it that looks good. I guess it all just feeds into, body dysmorphia or whatever. But because there's some that are just so extreme. There's some that are just so extreme. I don't know if you ever saw those two twins, those male twins who got a ton of cosmetic surgery. And I think they're both dead now. But they just looked ridiculous. And they just kept getting in. They were good looking guys before they got it.
I wonder which twins you're talking about.
I'm gonna look at that. Igor and Grishka Bogdanov.
Okay. Same first name.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, your namesake. Yeah. Yeah, they've been there for a few years. But like they were good looking guys before their surgeries, because they definitely got more than one. And they just kept going, and they looked crazy by the end.
It's insane. It's like they're trying
It's
to
not
they're trying to be more Mickey Rourke than Mickey Rourke is.
Obviously, nobody with a sound mind does that. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So I think that's the major consideration. Like that's some extreme body dysmorphia. Quite frankly, I think what the issue is these plastic surgeons are such scummy people because they just won't say no. They just say, oh, doctor, I want, put a bunch of shit in my face and blow me up. Okay, $10,000. They just see the money, and it's like they don't actually care what they do to you as long as they keep you alive. And then they just trick you into, I don't know. There's there's a lot that has to go wrong for somebody to end up that way. But it does start with extreme body, or I guess facial dysmorphia. I'd be curious to know how they saw themselves.
Put yourself in their head and see what they see in the mirror.
Yeah.
I often, I think about that. Like, how do other people see themselves? Because obviously, it's not as easy as just saying like, oh, well, obviously that's what they're seeing. It's what I'm seeing. But no, everybody has a different point of view. Somebody might like pick out exactly this one fault that for other people is minuscule, and they'll just focus in on that and can't look away. Whereas again, other people will be like, well, okay, I don't see anything. So it's fascinating that, yeah, to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes like that.
It's a mental condition. It's like trying to put yourself in the shoes of some other mental condition, really.
That's the thing. You're right. It's a mental condition, and it's one that's probably never diagnosed. It's kind of swept under the rug. No one really looks into it, which, I don't know. There's other mental conditions nowadays that have been more investigated, whereas before they hadn't. So maybe in the future this will be better. I don't look into body dysmorphia, but I'm assuming that people have been doing more towards it in recent years. But it's true. It's like, especially Hollywood, right? Hollywood is really good at pushing plastic surgery, getting people to look a certain way. It's more so than anything else. You don't really hear about other mental disorders or other things that would instigate mental disorders in Hollywood. That's probably the prominent one.
I don't think it's a mental disorder that just, it's not like autism or something like that, where you're just born with it and there's nothing you can do about it. It's a disorder that's kind of, I think in a lot of cases, I don't think there's too many people with body dysmorphia at 6 years old.
You sure? I don't know. Kids they're starting to look at the Kardashians
I'm sure
young
there
nowadays.
is. I'm sure there is for sure, but I think a lot of it is propagated by, there's a lot of stuff, and this is, I think, maybe a controversial opinion. There's a lot of stuff that's just a result of your current world. I think the most innocent example of this is that I've always found quite fascinating is that people used to dream in black and white until color TVs came around.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of people who will say, and I've seen it on like the TikToks and Reddits, and actually I think you and I had this conversation. Autism is much more common now than it was, which is great because some people are genuinely autistic. But then you have people that are just like, I'm autistic. How do you know? Oh, I took a test online.
That's how I diagnosed myself.
There you go. That's right. Yeah.
Cut out the middleman.
Exactly.
We don't need the pesky psychiatrist.
So there are certain disorders, quote unquote, that are prevalent because of, or certain conditions, whatever, that are prevalent because of external stimuli.
I can imagine there'd be an advertisement somewhere, like, you're visiting a website, a forum or something, you see an ad saying, how autistic are you? Take the quiz.
Yeah, there's an autism quiz in the next issue of Rolling Stone magazine.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Well, on an autistic scale, which celebrity are you most like?
Exactly. But so just going back to body dysmorphia, I think body dysmorphia is a big one. I think if media disappeared tomorrow, like if nobody had access to Inside Edition or pop culture magazines or Reddit and TikTok and the internet in general, I think you wouldn't see body dysmorphia as well, you wouldn't because you'd have no way to do it. But I don't think you'd see body dysmorphia as such a condition nowadays, because you do see a lot of people now, like even just regular, like it used to be the Hollywood people, right, that do the lip fillers. But you can walk into like any doctor's office now and they'll shoot you up with lip fillers, or Botox or something like that.
It's a weekly thing, It's just tradition now. It's like getting your nails done.
It's pretty common. It's honestly pretty common, and then you have more extreme ones like this is obviously more with models and all that, but like the ass implants and all that kind of stuff, and cheek lifts or facial lifts or whatever it's called. But I just think all that kind of stuff would disappear more or less if people didn't see it everywhere. I mean, they're the darker side, but they're trends. That's what they are. I think it would go away a lot more if people weren't exposed to it. So I think it's a mental condition, don't get me wrong, but I don't think body dysmorphia is necessarily the mental condition. There's something else that makes you particularly susceptible to stupid ideas.
Well, people are gullible generally. Humans are just by nature more gullible than we give them credit for.
I wouldn't call it gullible, though, because it's not like anybody's going, I don't think gullible is the right word, because that kind of implies like, oh, you need to do this, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll do this. It's more like,
They're susceptible to
yeah,
being swayed like that.
suggestible or
Suggestible,
susceptible.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I'm not, okay, gullible might be a hyperbole, but it's in that same
yeah,
vein. If you give somebody an idea, they can run with it. Humans are very good at running with ideas, right? You give somebody a bad thought and they'll just keep ruminating on it. Not everybody, but many people would keep ruminating on it. And this is why like negative comments always stick with you. Somebody says something bad about you, you're like, oh man, and just the whole day's ruined. Even if you get 10 other compliments, 10 other comments saying, hey, you look great, or just generally good things to say about you. But that one bad egg ruins it. I don't know. I don't know why humans are like that. That's a very horrible flaw, I think. But hey.
I think it's, a lot to do with trying to fit in with higher society. Like they see, oh, that movie star clearly did this, so I'm going to go do this. And people are going to be like, oh, wow, you look just like that person.
Everybody wants acceptance.
And especially like the Instagram, or the social media influencers or whatever, people look at that and be like, oh, I want to be just like them, so I'm going to go get my boobs done.
But I'll start with just one and then I'll do the other one later.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. Yeah. Well, yeah, because they don't have the money, right? So they go to the cheaper ones, It's like, here, I don't have any real lip filler stuff, but I'll put some water into the syringe and, we'll go from there.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
That's how we experiment. That's how progress is made.
That's how science is done. So I think a lot of it is that. It's just an extreme need to fit in or look good or be complimented and avoid, negative press. And, if the famous people are doing it and nobody's saying anything, even though they are, nobody's going to say anything about me except for, wow, you look just like that person. Or I'll be the next influencer. Now that I got a bunch of plastic in my ass, I'll be the next influencer. I think nails are a lesser form. I don't know. I say nails are a lesser form of that. I don't know.
They are a lesser form
like
because
the long ones.
Well, long ones, yeah.
It's just ridiculous. Like I just don't.
I'm not going to demean anyone who gets who glues the fake fingernails, whatever. People do what they want to do because sometimes it's part of an outfit, right? Part of an accessory. So like if they're wearing a necklace that has a certain
I don't
texture.
mind people gluing nails on. Like, and again, that's something I grew up with. So, my grandma was like that way. And, as a result, my cousins did some of that kind of stuff. And, my aunts. So
you're aware of it. Yeah. Then you're used to it.
I'm aware of it, but they were reasonable length ones. That's what, like, they weren't the long one. Like you can snap on, glue on, whatever, just reasonable length ones. Like I said, I'm fine with that. I've never seen it, get in the way or even really ever pay attention to it. But when you see the ones with, like I said, half a foot long fingernails,
half a foot long. That's how they confirm that the Subway sandwich they got is how it should be.
Oh yeah, that's their measuring stick.
They use their fingernails. They bring the two fingernails together if they're half a foot long. Obviously, a foot long is too much, but they bring their two fingers together, right? Not the fingers touch, but the fingernails touch, and that's a foot long. And if my sub sandwich isn't a foot long, I'm demanding my money back.
There you go.
Maybe that's why they do it. Yeah. I think if I were to do it, I would do it for that reason, to measure things.
Now we know. I will say, well, okay, so on the subject of nails, I will say one thing. I do let my toenails grow. I don't keep them as trimmed as I should. And I think it's mostly just because, like, we talked about this a few weeks ago. I remember talking about this with you. I always wear long pants. I always wear t-shirts. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what time of year. I don't own any shorts. I don't own a lot of sweaters, etc. You know what I mean? So the other part of that is, like, I always wear socks. I don't wear sandals. I don't wear flip-flops and that kind of stuff. I always wear socks.
You can wear sandals and flip-flops with socks, though.
I could do that, but...
That's what the cool kids are doing nowadays.
Yeah. I don't think so. So, I always wear socks and I always wear shoes when I go out. So I don't genuinely think about it all that much. Like, I always hide them, so I just go, what's...
You never go to the beach or anything.
Yeah.
But, they grow very slowly compared to fingernails. I think the from what I remember, it's like 3 times as slow as fingernails. So
is that? Oh, okay.
You're more likely to forget.
Yeah.
Oh, that might be it. Yeah. Blood flow. Yeah. So are you saying that if I put a tourniquet on my feet, my toenails won't grow at all, or very, very slowly? So there you go. If you don't want to trim your toenails, just put a tourniquet, and you'll be fine.
No, one of the ways you can tell if you have a heart problem or diabetes or something is if it works on your hands too, but hair growth on your feet. If you're somebody who, previously grows hair on your feet and all of a sudden you're not, then there's something wrong with your heart. Typically your heart, but it could also be something like diabetes. Like I know when I was undiagnosed with diabetes, it wasn't something that I really, again, paid attention to, but it is something I ended up noticing eventually, was that, I used to have toe knuckle hair,
You got hairy feet.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have hairy feet, but I had toe knuckle hair. I had
No,
some
I
toe
get
knuckle
it. I
hair,
get it. Yeah.
a little bit of it. And like I said, before I was diagnosed, but I was having attacks and all that kind of stuff. And I first got diagnosed, like I noticed like, oh, there's no hair there anymore.
It's the opposite of puberty.
And then once I got it more under control, it started growing again. So that's one way to tell. Your feet don't get a lot of circulation. So
That's interesting, though. I never put two and two together. I guess you do need the blood flow for the hair to grow. You need, proper working of the cardiovascular system.
yeah.
You need for that to work properly. I didn't think of that. Is that why people go bald? Is it because they don't get enough blood flow to their head?
No.
Oh, damn.
No. Unfortunately, that's not your problem, Reggie. Yeah.
And here I was thinking, well, what if I just hang upside down so all the blood rushes to my head every day?
Maybe. Try it. Just try it, just in case.
You know what? Now that I think about it, there's been some, maybe it was in The Simpsons or something else, but, obviously it was probably some snake oil stuff in the old days too. Oh, no, it was in The Simpsons where Homer needs to take that, whatever that medication is for hair growth. Very first season, I think it was.
Oh, that's
Smithers
right. Yeah, he gets the really long, like Fabio hair.
Yeah. And one of the things he had to do, and they only showed once, but one of the things he had to do as part of the treatment was hang upside down.
Oh, right.
And I think now I'm putting two and two together.
Try it.
I'm not going to try. I really don't
Get
care.
some Rogaine.
Nah, I'm not.
Get some Rogaine and hang upside down. Next time I see you, I want you to have long, luscious locks.
What if I don't know, I'll just get a wig. I'll just get an anime wig. I'll look like Cloud or Goku.
No. Yeah, go get a Cloud wig and wear that around everywhere.
Jeez, man. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, so anyways, so I don't keep great care of my toenails. And I just remember one time when I went to the doctor's office after I was first diagnosed with diabetes, like they were like, take your socks off. And I didn't know they were going to do this. I was terrified. I was so scared. I was like, why? Well, we got to check your feet because that's like, again, because if you're affected by diabetes, you're going to have bad blood flow. Like a lot of people have diabetes and don't like take proper care of it. And sometimes even if you do take proper care of it, they get their legs amputated.
Yeah, I heard that.
Because it just reduces your blood flow to your legs for, whatever reason. Oh, so we got to test to make sure you have sensation and stuff down there and all that. And I was like, you can do that with my socks on, I think. They're like, no, take it off.
We want to see your toenails.
So yeah, I did it. And the doctor was like, she saw him and she's like, oh, you need to take better care of your toenails. I was like, no shit. Like,
did you say it that way too?
But I have this thing on my left, like second toe, almost like on the closest knuckle to, the base of your foot. Like I have this like bump thing, kind of callus thing on there. And I've just always had it like as far as I can remember. Right. And she's like, if you trim your toenails, that'll go away. Because what she was saying was my toenails are long, so it caused me to curl my toes in my shoes.
It could happen, yeah.
Which I guess it could happen, but it's not. It's not what it is.
They weren't that long?
No, I don't curl my toes in my shoes because my toenails are so fucking long.
You just buy bigger shoes.
They're not that long. Like, they're long. They're kind of long and unkempt, right? But they're not like, going back to the earlier, length discussions, they're not like 4 inches long. You know what I mean? They're not even like 2 inches. They're not even like they're longer than a centimeter.
Come on. A centimeter's a lot.
They're clearly, a centimeter's not a lot. You keep saying a centimeter, and I'm like, that's a lot.
One
of the smallest. It's
long.
not.
A millimeter is short, but a centimeter is pretty long.
It's not long.
You got to measure it so you see.
No. So after all that happened, there was a period of time where I, watched my toenails a little bit better, and it never went away, which I knew it wasn't going to go away.
It's probably just a callus. I mean, people get calluses. It's fine.
Yeah, it's whatever, and it's just hard skin, and like every once in a while I can like trim it for what it's worth.
You could shave it. You could shave it and put it on toast.
You could like shave it down a little bit. it's
Yeah.
gross to talk about.
They
but
have
it's,
no, you know what they
nothing
they have
bad.
these wonderful things because the bottom of the heel, I guess, right? The heel and the other, yeah, mostly the heel. But usually it gets really callous, especially if you do a lot of walking or running or whatever. So you get this really hard layer. But they have these tools. I forget. They're rasps. They're called rasps. I mean, obviously you can use a rasp for woodworking as well, but they have them for skin. And when you use it, it's like it just shaves it down. It's like a dust of dead skin coming off. It's beautiful, wonderful.
So you do that, and then it just kind of comes back anyways. So it's whatever. Anyways, point is that that's my toe. But I will say, listen, I'll say this about my toenails. Like they never get like really long. Like I remember watching on like Guinness World Records. Like I used to, I don't know, they used to have a Guinness World Records show, right? And like in the '90s, late '90s or early thousands or whatever it was. And I used to watch it sometimes. And I remember this one guy. He had really long toenail, like really long, like to the point where they like curled and, into a coil and all that kind of stuff. I don't understand how they get them that long. I guess you have to take like you really have to be conscious of it because listen, the one thing about my toenails is if they get like long enough, and again, long enough is not that long. If they get long enough, they'll just like come off. Like they'll like trim themselves. So that's the other thing
Well, they
too. Is
break,
like if
right?
I don't trim them, it's not a break like okay, so, I've had my fingernail break and it's like more like a chip or a partial break or something. Like it'll come off in like a clean line.
Wow.
Like right where my like toe it. You know what I mean? Like
That's really good.
like it was a normal clip.
Like a piece of toilet
I'll just
paper,
and
it just rips off.
it doesn't take my toenails that long, like they don't have to be that long to do that. So I see these guys and I go, how the did they do that? Because I wouldn't be able to even start on that path. Like
Maybe there's some foods or supplements they can take to strengthen their toenails.
maybe.
And then they don't break that easily. But see, look at that. That's a highly evolved foot you have to be able to have a toenail that just automatically self-cuts.
Yeah, it just like self-cuts. And I just go, well, that's weird. Or maybe I just have really shitty toenails and that's...
Well, no, if they're always cleanly breaking, then that's actually a superpower.
Yeah, but maybe they're like weak or something like that, and that's why they're like...
Wow. But again, if it's a clean break, I think that's impressive. I don't think I think they're deliberately making themselves weaker as they grow. So regarding the toenails, I actually hate when I have long toenails because I don't sleep with socks on, and they hit the blanket, and man, it's like it drives me nuts when it scrapes against it because it's like nails on a chalkboard kind of.
Oh, okay.
Depending on the material of the blanket and stuff, but some materials they have that feeling, and I hate it. I hate it so much. So like toenails are even worse sometimes for me because those are like just you're trying to sleep and it just rubs against the chalkboard. The equivalent of a chalkboard.
Yeah, mine don't get so long that they're nails on a chalkboard while I'm in bed, so...
Oh, well, but that's what confuses me. You said a centimeter. Mine don't even get a centimeter. They're like 2 millimeters and they're bothering me. As soon as the length is such that it goes beyond the cushion in front of the toe, as soon as they get longer than that, that's when they start bothering, which is only a couple of millimeters.
Like as soon as? Like that's like a really low bar.
As soon as they're overhanging the toe, let's put it that way. As soon as the toenails are overhanging the toe, that's when it starts being a problem, which makes sense. Even for fingernails, it's the same. As soon as they're overhanging the finger, because they can scratch stuff by accident, they can catch dirt. I know some people, for some people, their toenails and fingernails, they're, I guess, more, I don't know, they're more internal. There's more skin around, so it takes longer for them to overhang like that. But in my case, they're like very close, so that's why. Got to keep them trimmed. Otherwise, my autism spikes up.
Yeah, your self-diagnosed autism.
That's right.
From Rolling Stone magazine.
That's right.
That's the thing. I guess teach their own. You're gonna do what you want with your fingernails. Just don't get nasty ass 4-inch long fingernails that you have to use the base of your hand to type on your phone. If you're listening to us, that's when I will shame you.
I don't shame anybody. The question of the day is then, if you had the choice, like if you were able to snap your fingers, would you remove your fingernails and or toenails permanently?
Yes.
You would?
Oh, entirely? No.
Entirely. Everything.
Toenails I would.
Toenails
I don't understand the point of toenails. Yeah.
Yeah, toenails, you're right. That's back from evolution days of we needed them because we used our feet more tactily.
Yeah. If I get rid of my toenails, it would look weird, right? But
Well, you get used to it. It's fine. It's funny because your toes would become like they'd be more cartoonish at some point. In 1,000 years or 2,000 or whatever, after many generations, if humans didn't have toenails anymore, they would be like just these little spongy things with no indentation or anything. You'd look like Mickey Mouse.
there you go. Yeah, no, I would my toenails for sure. Fingernails, no. Fingernails are useful.
For scratching people.
Scratching people, opening things, they're certainly useful.
Yeah, you know what bothers me the most is after I cut mine, right? You cut your fingernails and
Can't open your Lewis Hamilton monsters.
well, first of all, yeah, that's the thing. It's harder to open things when you need that little bit of leverage. But what bothers me the most is the parts where the fingernails are cut start to hurt. Maybe like a day or two, they're just like they don't hurt, but they're like
It's because you're cutting them
sore.
too low.
Yeah, and I do cut them low. I like to the point of bleeding. No, not that low. Not torturing myself, but I do cut them low. So that I don't have to cut them again until later because I'm lazy. But they do hurt, and so that's the worst thing about it. It's like you're trying to mind your own business, and you get this numbing pain.
Well, like I
Mild
said, that can be
numbing
easily
pain.
solved by cutting them right.
Yeah. That's what they all
Yeah,
tell
no,
me.
I know what you mean. I'm really bad with and I do this more when I'm tired than anything. I'll find like an imperfection on my fingernail, loose piece of skin or something from cutting it or whatever, and I'll like pick at it or whatever. Like I don't chew my nails,
But you chew that piece.
but I'll pick at it. Not even necessarily chew, but you might pick at it, or you might take a pair of nail clippers to it or whatever, and you just end up like making it worse and worse and worse and worse.
You keep digging in more and more.
Like I'm so bad, especially when I'm tired. I don't know. I do it more when I'm tired because I guess it's just a fixation or something. But that's the worst, and that usually coincides with like once they start growing a little bit, it's okay. But it usually coincides like shortly after a nail trimming in a day or so. Sometimes I'm lucky. Sometimes I don't do that, but more often than not, it's like I feel like this part's a little uneven, or it feels like something's sticking out right there. And dig at it until I make it worse until it bleeds or something like that. Like, oh my god.
It's like when you have a table and you want to make the feet so that there's no wobbling. So you trim one of them.
You trim
It's
one,
too much,
and then you got to trim the other,
and eventually the
and
table's
whole
on the
fucking thing's
floor.
on the floor. Yeah.
you trim them to the point of there's no fingernail left.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's keep the show moving. We watched Fanboys this weekend.
Yeah, I just watched it this morning.
Yeah.
Fanboys 2009.
Last night.
It was. You know what? I checked the length of the film after. It's less than an hour 30.
Yeah, it was an hour 29 with credits, so that was pretty good. Nice short one. Bunch of nerds go to the Skywalker Ranch to get an advanced copy of Episode 1. This took place before Episode 1 came out. It wasn't filmed before Episode 1 came out, but it took place before Episode 1 came out. And broke into Skywalker Ranch to watch Episode 1 before their friend died of cancer.
And the timeline is
Which
he would have
sounds
died
serious,
like
but-
4 months or 2 months before it would have come out.
Yeah.
It's so tragic. It's like just what a coincidence.
And they run into a bunch of issues on their way out there. And somehow all the nerds overcame the issues. I will say, first of all, I thought it was a good movie. I did think it was a quite good movie. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. And it was pretty amusing. I will say there were a lot of like the main cast were like nobodies, right? Except for the one guy, the one who was the son of the car salesman, right?
Is he famous?
I don't know if he's famous, but I think, and I'm thinking about it right now because last night I watched it and I was like, I recognize him, but I can't figure out where. And now I'm just thinking about it. I think he was in one of the main characters in one of the Final Destination movies.
Okay.
He's done some other stuff I've seen, and I think that's where it was. I think it was Final Destination movies, but if you haven't seen those, maybe not. But anyways, the main cast wasn't like super popular, or really almost at all. But the supporting cast was like crazy.
Well, they had Shatner
Not
as himself.
huge. You had Shatner, of course. Yeah. I guess Carrie Fisher was in there at some point. I don't know.
She was the doctor.
Oh, was she the doctor? Oh, okay.
Have you seen Star Wars?
Yes.
So
yeah.
so when they're leaving the hospital and the guy who's I forget what his name is now, but the one who's dying of cancer, he kisses her because he's so happy that she's letting them go, and he says, "I love you," and then she says, "I know," and that's straight from the movie when Han Solo
okay.
and her
All right.
kiss.
All right.
So
I don't know it enough. Well, I've seen Star Wars, but I certainly don't know it enough to quote it beyond Luke, I am your father.
No, I only know that because I've seen it probably like in the past year that I've seen that quote appear. But no, I'm not like a diehard fan. I just know that a couple of those things. But it's nice to, kind of, especially Indiana Jones, they had a bunch of references to that as well, which I appreciated. Even ones that are like you wouldn't have known unless you watched the movies.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, big cast. Seth Rogen was in there twice.
Yeah, and he fought himself. It's so good.
I did not know. So he played the pimp, and he played the Trekkie nerd. I didn't know he was the Trekkie nerd. I had no idea he was the Trekkie nerd because I looked it up afterwards. At the end of the movie, when the main character becomes the comic writer, and the two guys come up to him and bash him about his comic, the one guy walks up in the suit, right? And he's also somebody he was from The Office.
Yeah,
he played Roy on The Office.
He always seems to play the dick.
He does, yeah. But I don't remember where he was in the beginning of the film. So I went back and looked him. Like, who was he in the beginning of the film? Was he somebody at the car dealership with him?
Yeah, he was like, I'm surprised that he turned out to be the way he was at the end, because he was just a plain dick at the beginning, a bully.
See, I don't remember. I don't know why I don't remember that. But
it was very brief. It was very brief. It's when they first go to the car dealership. The guy who works there, he comes out following him. Roy comes out, and Office Roy comes out, and he berates them for having the decal on the van, and makes fun of them for being nerds and so on.
But I went and looked it up, and I was like, was he the Trekkie guy? And he was just like all proper now?
No.
That's when it said, oh, it was Seth Rogen. I was like, what?
I
knew there was something wrong about. I knew there was something wrong about that Trekkie guy. I was like, this guy just looks like a fucking goof, like they're putting it on, right? But I didn't recognize him as Seth Rogen. I didn't.
Okay. Well, they did a good job, I guess.
The pimp. Yeah, I recognize him as the pimp.
That's what Seth Rogen usually looks like.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, but I think they did a good enough job with the thing. I did not recognize he was Seth Rogen. Like, I had to look at pictures afterwards and be like, oh, now I see it. Okay. But at first I didn't see it. But anyways, he was in there. Craig Robinson was in there, also from The Office. And he was with Will Forte. Shooter McGavin was in there, played the guy's dad, right? The guy who played Darth Maul was in there.
Oh, yeah, Ray Park. Man, Ray Park did a good job.
Park was in there.
I'm glad they roped him into it, because he actually, he played it well.
Because that was the one thing I was thinking, like, towards the end of the movie. I was like, man, there's like a lot of like cameos in here, but there's not a lot of Star Wars cameos in here, because I didn't recognize Carrie Fisher as the Doctor. I don't know why, but I didn't. And I don't really know who Ray Park is. So it wasn't until afterwards, when I was like looking at the cast and all that I was like, okay, it was pretty cool to have Darth Maul in there in the role, especially the role that he was in, the security guard role.
Yeah. Even though it was brief, the twirling that he did, that's basically what Darth Maul would have done in Phantom Menace.
Yeah. So, that was cool. Danny McBride was in there. Joe Truglio was in there from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Throwing the sandwiches at them.
Yeah,
just
he used it on the toilet.
Oh, disgusting.
Oh, no.
And then he had to use one of their socks to wipe his ass. Come on. I mean, exactly, surely a prison would have toilet paper.
Probably a county jail probably does. I don't know how prisons do it.
They have to have toilet paper. What would they did? Prisoners would be wiping their ass on the walls every time.
Probably. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about jail to say one way or the other. But Danny Trejo was in it.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It's not a movie that could be made these days. I think they had a lot of, I would say, homophobic slurs, but I know they were kind of just joking around, but still, it seemed to be a bit much sometimes.
It's true, but I don't know. I found it amusing. It had a few good out-of-pocket moments. And
I think the second half was way better than the first. I think when they were like finally wrapping things up and running around Lucas's ranch, I think they did a good job. And, it was kind of heartwarming, even though it was a more of a Deus Ex Machina situation where, everything just works out.
Yeah, all of a sudden George Lucas was like, let him watch the movie.
But only the one who's dying. Right. Man, how does everybody know about it? That's my question. It's like everybody, because Danny Trejo gave him the weed because he's like, you need this more than I do. Like, well, okay. Well, the only reason why he would think that is if he knew he was dying or he thought he was dying. And then George Lucas somehow knows as well, which is, I don't know, whatever. It's like a Deus Ex Machina, fine, but that was a bit weird.
I mean, they even called it out when Danny McBride said to the one guy, like, "Oh, we know you're one ball." He's like, "How did you know that?" He's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
that's the
we
other
know
thing, yeah.
everything." Yeah. There was the Deus Ex Machina in there, but overall it was, like I said, there were a few out of pocket moments. I did like the gay bar stuff. I thought that was funny. That's kind of a traditional trope. I've seen it more than once. You got to pay off by going to dance on the stage.
Oh, really? I think that's the first time I've seen that. I've seen bars turning out to be gay bars very often. I don't know why that's such a trope in Hollywood.
Too, yeah.
But usually it doesn't end with them having to dance on stage.
But that was funny, and the pimp stuff was. I thought Seth Rogen was really good at it, so I thought that stuff was funny. And I liked when at the end when Danny McBride was interviewing everybody and he was asking the personal questions, and the girl was the only one that could answer. He said he's like, you're really not well knowledged and hot or whatever. And she pulls him over, that smacks him, and I thought that was just a stupid little part that I found extremely funny. Yeah, I don't know. Overall, I thought it was actually a good movie. I really enjoyed it. Forgiven the premise, because I don't really care about Star Wars or whatever, though very, very happily watched it this weekend, on the end of the Fortnite season and all that.
Yeah, I know. It worked out. Now, given that you like Star Trek, how did you feel that they presented the Trekkies?
Exactly how they should have.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying it's accurate, but given that it's a Star Wars movie, it makes sense that they're going to make, they're going to make the Trekkies more extreme.
I did appreciate the little bit of humor at the beginning where in the shop, the two Star Trek fans come in and they're looking at the blaster. And the blaster's only there as a decoy to weed out, to root out the Star Trek fans and boot them out of the store. How in the world does this shop survive if they're just really... First of all, they're not just catering to Star Wars, because behind him you can see Wolverine comics and, just X-Men comics. So it's clearly not just a Star Wars themed shop. So why would you be booting out the Star Trek fans? It's ridiculous. They're probably half your clientele.
Oh, well. I don't know what to say, but yeah. No, I thought, that's what they had to do for Star Trek. Like, if you're presenting a Star Wars movie, that's what you have to do for the Star Trek. I think that makes sense. If you're going to do a movie about Star Trek fans, you would do the same thing for the Star Wars fans in that movie, right? I do want to know, how they got away with making this movie. How do you make a movie about a popular IP like that?
Well, you get permission, I guess. They didn't show anything from the movies, right?
They did, though. There was the Millennium Falcon. When they got into George Lucas's thing, they showed a ton of stuff from the movies.
I think that was actually, if you look at the credits, they were actually there. They were filming in.
I believe it.
In the
I believe it.
Ranch.
They must have got. Yeah, I'm sure they got permission. Actually, I read a little bit afterwards that I think they tried to make it as generic as possible in case they had to pull all that stuff out.
Well, that's very clever. That's what game developers of licensed IP stuff, fan games, that's what they should be doing, is making it as generic as possible so you can just swap the assets if necessary.
Yep. That was good. Well, what did you think of the movie overall?
I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I didn't like everything about it, but overall, I enjoyed watching it. And like I said, I did enjoy especially the last... let's say last third, where the plan comes together. That was fun. But still, I prefer Pump Up the Volume. This era that they're in, the 2009 era, or not the 2009 era, but the era of stealing the Phantom Menace rough cut, it's not my era. Pump Up the Volume's era is my era.
That's not your era either.
It's okay. It feels that way, though. So Pump Up the Volume is still king of the hill. But for you, I wonder, what do you think?
I was thinking about it last night. I had to reflect a little bit, but I do think I still like Ride Along more. This was a very good. I did enjoy this movie, but I enjoyed Ride Along more, so I'm gonna keep with that one.
And what do you think compared to Beautiful Boy? Do you think it's still this one beats out Beautiful Boy?
No, I'm gonna go with Beautiful Boy. Still.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so still not quite there. It could have been better.
Not quite there. Yep. All right. Well, on to our next movie, and it's your turn. So.
All right, random movie generator. Randomize. Oh, we got a good one. It's called Airborne. That's it, 1993. It's a comedy adventure. Only an hour and 31. It's going to be good.
Comedy drama about inline skating. Oh my God. Woo. Seth Green. Wow.
Seth Green. But he's not the main character. It's Shane McDermott. I don't remember. I've heard the name, but
He doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
he must have hit it big with this movie and then fallen out. Oh, it's got Jack Black in it.
Jack Black as Jose Augusto Rafael Augie de la Pera. Oh, well,
Well, it sounds like
they
Jack
got more
Black.
than 2 names. Yeah. This is early Jack Black, though, so this is like really early
No
Jack
facial
Black. I
hair
think
Jack
this is-
Black, so it's going to be funny.
Yeah. I like Jack Black from School Rock On. Before, I'm like, eh.
Wow, I don't know. I don't remember him before that, actually.
Well, actually, me neither. So, but that speaks to itself, anyways. So,
We'll see. Maybe he plays a serious role. Who knows? Got a pretty good score, 21% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Airborne skates downhill with a threadbare story, flat characters, and wince-inducing dialogue.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Wince-inducing dialogue is all I need to enjoy a movie.
Yeah, there you go.
So Airborne, 1993.
All right, why don't you tell us about your word of the fortnight?
The word of the fortnight this time around is dross. D-R-O-S-S. It's a noun, and it means something that is trivial or inferior. And my example is, haters will say that our podcast is dross. And I got this word from Genshin Impact.
Oh, that Genshin Impact. Teaching you new words all the time.
They're really good at being waxing poetic about everything, even when they don't have to.
Well, on that note, do 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 do. It's Pokemon time. It's Pokemon time. The penultimate rounds. We're in the the last round of the final, last matchup of the quarterfinals, and then into the semifinals. So here we go. We are judging the Pokemon cries of all of the legendary Pokemon throughout the series, plus Scyther, because we forgot him in our original tournament back in season 1. Yeah, we don't know what Pokemon they are. We only see numbers. But next episode, we're going to begin to divulge said Pokemon.
The whole episode will be dedicated to it.
I don't think we're going to get all the way through, but
Oh, no, I think we will.
I'm not sure. We'll see. Might be a two-parter. Especially because we got movie, we still have the movie review to do, and we still have the word of the fortnight. But yeah, so that's what we're doing today. So here we go. Last matchup in the quarterfinals. This is round 91 between Pokemon 3 and 11. You can see what Pokemon they are. We can't see, but you can see by going to top3.welcome.fm. And here we go. Number 3.
This is the frog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got
And
two.
bird chirp.
We got two proper cries.
Yep.
I wonder which one. Yeah, the bird chirp is very.
Birdie.
I don't know. They're both kind of weak in my opinion. Like, what kind of legendaries are making these sounds?
That is true. It'll be very interesting in 2 weeks to see
I'm literally thinking
where
of
some of
just
these sounds have come
a small frog for the first one, a small bird for the other one.
I feel like it's probably not a small frog though.
Medium-sized
Also, it
frog.
makes some bubble noise. Yeah, medium-sized frog.
Because it blows a bubble. It blows a bubble. The
Yeah,
bubble
it, like,
popping
blows a
is not
bubble.
is not part of the cry. It's the same as the the grass underneath the hooves.
That is true. But whenever it talks, it might have bubbles come out of its mouth. So that's how I look at it.
I'm gonna go with the with number 3, the first one.
I'm also going to go with that one. I like that one more than the bird.
It's just got a little bit more than just a regular old bird.
I can hear birds all the time. I can't hear a big bubble burp, big frog bubble burp anytime I want.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Since I don't live in the bayou. All right. Well, 3 is moving on to the semifinals. That's our first. Oh, is that our first semifinalist? No, we already have 2 semifinalists. Yeah. And here's round 92. Now we're in the semifinals. Oh, it's exciting now. The final 4. Eat this, NBA playoffs. Between 9 and 45. Here's number 9.
The evil demon in a box.
And 45.
Oh, come on. 45. 45. I'm going
Ugh.
45. The toilet. Going to the bathroom. I love it. It's beautiful. It's a work of art. I know you're still
So you're going
hesitating.
40?
Yeah, but I'm going
I know.
45. I'm all in.
I'm going with number 9.
All right.
So
This is tricky.
We're
This is
gonna
tricky.
do-
You got to really like number 9 to be able to win against the tie.
I get that. I get that. You're very strongly opinionated about 45.
I'm not gonna be like too crazy, but I don't know. I love it. 45 is like, this could if somebody played this sound, if someone had said like, what sound would you want to hear before you die? I would say this might be it.
All right, you want odds or evens?
Odds is fine.
All right, so we're going to rank. We're going to give a ranking to a number to our favorite sound, and whoever is the highest number, whoever likes their sound more, wins. All right, so you said odds, right?
Yes.
All right, tell me what your number is.
75.
All right, my number was 68.
Oh, well, it was close. It was very close, actually.
It was close. It was. Well, I thought you were going to go much higher.
I tempered it, honestly. I thought like, maybe I'll go even 80 or so, 80 plus, but
you should. If you really liked it, you should have. But
no,
you still won.
I do like the other one too. I'm very passionate about the toilet humor in this tournament of ours.
Well, there you go. 45's moving on. All right, 93. Here we go. The last semifinal match between 58 and 3. Here's 58.
This is the lesser version of the monkey in the middle.
That's the lesser version. That's right.
In the metal box.
Exactly. And here's 3. You already heard it?
No. I want 58. I do like 58 more than the little frog.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 58 also. So there we go. So our final matchup is between the burp, the gurgling toilet, and the laughing monkey. We'll reveal the winner in 2 weeks at our season 4. We're going to be going to season 4, right? Our season 4.
No, season 5.
Oh, season 5 premiere. Oh, man. My God. We're even further ahead than I thought we were.
That's right.
All right, guys. Well, there's to 4 blank years.
4 dross years.
Yeah, there we go.
4 years.
No, you said dross was a noun.
No, so 4 years of dross. Or you could say drossy. 4 drossy years.
And on to the 5th.